We thought we were alone for so long. For centuries we stared into the great silence. We sent our messages into the void. We shouted hello into an empty room. The silence was our oldest companion. It was the backdrop to all our dreams of the stars. Then one day, the silence broke. It was not a reply. It was not a greeting. It was an arrival. A ship appeared at the edge of our system. It was vast and dark and utterly wrong. Its shape defied our understanding of physics. It looked less like a machine and more like a wound in space. No lights blinked a welcome. No signal offered a word of peace. It just sat there, judging. Our own ships went out to meet it. They were our best and bravest. They sent hails in 1,000 languages. They broadcast mathematics and music. They offered every greeting we could imagine. The dark ship offered only one thing in return: a wall of pure energy. Our probes vaporized against it. The strange ship was not here to talk. It moved with a purpose that chilled us. It slowly entered our system. It scanned our worlds one by one: Earth, Mars, the outposts on Jupiter's moons. It ignored our frantic messages. Its silence was louder than any threat. We had waited our whole history for a visitor. We never thought they would be so dismissive. We were not even a curiosity. We were just a thing in their path. Then the message came. It was not sent to our leaders. It was not aimed at our communication hubs. It was broadcast into every mind on Earth. A single thought, clear and cold and final. You are a potential plague. You grow too fast. You think too much. Your potential for chaos is unacceptable. The verdict was delivered without a trial. We were found guilty of a crime we had not yet committed. They called themselves the Arbiters. They had watched us for 100 years. They saw our wars and our divisions. They saw our reckless ambition. They did not see our art or our love. They saw a weed growing in a tidy garden, a weed that needed to be contained. A shimmering barrier appeared around our sun. It was a cage of light and force. It extended far beyond our outermost planet. Nothing could pass it. Our ships bounced off its invisible wall. The Arbiter's ship turned without another word. It slipped through the barrier and was gone. We were left alone again. But this time we knew we were in a prison. The galaxy beyond our cage was no longer silent. The Arbiters had locked us in, but they had forgotten to turn off the lights. In their arrogance, they left the galactic networks open. We could not transmit, but we could listen. And so we did. For years, we listened. We became the galaxy's greatest secret keepers. We heard the whispers between worlds. We deciphered languages of crystal-based beings. We learned the trade routes of gaseous merchants. We mapped the territories of great empires. The galaxy was a crowded and ancient place. It was full of wonders and horrors, and it was governed by one unspoken rule: the strong do what they will. The weak suffer what they must. There was no Grand Council. There was no federation of equals. There was only power. We heard pleas for help go unanswered. We heard of worlds stripped bare for resources. We saw great civilizations fall into dust. The Arbiters were not keepers of peace. They were just the biggest bullies on the playground. They enforced a quiet order of fear. We listened, and we learned, and we grew angry. Being trapped does strange things to a people. For some, it brings despair. For us, it brought focus. We were a species in a bottle. All our energy, all our ambition was turned inward. We had one single goal: to break our chains, and to one day stand as equals. Humanity became a solitary forge. We built great things in our isolation. Our cities became marvels of engineering. We solved hunger and disease. We stopped fighting each other. It turns out having a cosmic jailer is a great way to unite people. Our old squabbles seem so small now. We worked as one people with one purpose. Our science advanced at a stunning rate. We poured every resource into star science. We studied the barrier that held us captive. We learned its secrets from the inside. Our engineers went from coffee-fueled all-nighters to plasma-fueled all-nighters. Though the coffee was still essential, we were preparing for a test. We just needed the final piece of the puzzle. Then, a miracle, or something that looked a lot like one. An alarm blared from an outpost near the barrier. Something was coming through. It was not an arbiter ship. It was broken, drifting, ancient, a ghost from a forgotten age. It tumbled into our space, a gift from the void. Our ship swarmed it immediately. It was a derelict. Its power was dead. Its hull was scarred by weapons we could not identify. Life support was long gone. We towed the silent giant to an orbit around our moon. Our best minds descended upon it. They explored its silent corridors. They touched technology that was alien in a completely new way. This ship was not like the Arbiter's vessel. It was elegant. It was built with a different philosophy. Inside its dead data cores, we found it. The secrets of a better star drive. A way to fold space that was faster, more efficient. The Arbiters used brute force. This was art. We also found the ship's logs. They told a sad story. A story of a peaceful people erased by a stronger power. We knew we had to be different. Their law was simple. Might makes right. The galaxy accepted this as a fact of life. We refused. We had listened to the screams of the dying. We had heard the boasts of tyrants. We would not become them. We would not build a fleet just for revenge. We would build it to enforce a better way. So we drafted a law of our own. It was not based on power. It was based on fairness, on evidence, on the idea that even the smallest voice deserves to be heard. We called it the Mandate of Saul. It had 3 simple principles: no unprovoked aggression, no enslavement of sentient beings, and the right to appeal for aid. We carved these words into the hull of our first new ship. We did not know if the galaxy would listen. We were just one small system, a species of loud monkeys locked in a cage. But we had hope. And now, we had the keys. Our forge was ready. Our law was written. We were no longer prisoners. We were waiting for our moment. The moment to show the galaxy that there was a new way. The moment came sooner than we expected. A new signal cut through the galactic chatter. It was weak, desperate. It was aimed directly at us, at the silent system. A fleet of refugee ships was fleeing a cruel empire, the Cathar Imperium. They were a people called the Lumina. They were artists and philosophers, not warriors. Their worlds were being conquered. They had heard whispers of the caged world, the one that listened. They knew of our long silence. They gambled that our silence was not one of weakness, but of thought. In their final, hopeless act, they ran toward our cage. They begged for sanctuary. They appealed to a law that did not yet exist outside our own minds. They were our first test. We had a choice. We could remain silent. We could watch the Lumina get destroyed at our doorstep. That would have been the safe thing to do. The old way. The galaxy would understand. But we had built our new ships for a reason. We had written our new law with purpose. We were not the old humanity anymore. The time for listening was over. The time for speaking had come. Our court was about to open its first session. We did not just shatter our cage. We transformed it. The barrier that had imprisoned us became a broadcast antenna. For the first time in a century, we sent a message out. It was not a plea. It was a declaration. Our signal went to the approaching Lumina fleet. It went to the pursuing Cathar warships. And it went to every listening post in the galaxy. We announced the mandate of Sol. We declared our system a neutral ground, a place of sanctuary. The Cathar Imperium was ordered to stand down. Its attack on the Lumina was a violation of the mandate. They were to cease their pursuit immediately. The galaxy held its breath. It was a bold move. Some called it insane. Who were we to make demands? A single species from a forgotten star. The Cathar Imperium was an ancient power. They had crushed entire federations. They would not be ordered around by upstarts. We knew they would not listen. Our law required a defense. The Cathar commander sent back a single image, a pictograph of a boot stepping on an insect, a clear message. Then he opened a channel to his admirals. He laughed. He mocked the caged birds and their silly rules. He ordered his fleet to accelerate, to wipe out the refugees, and then to burn our world for its impudence. He thought he was delivering a lesson. He was right about one thing. A lesson was about to be delivered. As his warships crossed the line we had drawn in space, our own ships answered. They rose from the shadow of our moon. The Wardens. They were smaller than the Cathar ships. They were sleeker, and they moved with a grace that was unnerving. The battle was not a battle. It was a verdict. Our weapons were not crude lasers or missiles. They were precision instruments of force. We did not target life support. We did not aim for crew quarters. We targeted their weapons, their engines, their command centers, with surgical accuracy. The Cathar fleet was disarmed and disabled in 17 minutes. Their massive warships floated dead in space, powerless, helpless. Our Wardens moved among them like silent shepherds. We sent one final message to the Cathar commander. Your fleet is impounded. Your appeal can be made in 100 of your years. We suggest you find a good lawyer. Then we towed his flagship, with him on it, into orbit around our sun. A permanent reminder. The data streams of the battle spread across the galaxy like a shock wave. Every listening species saw what happened. They saw the mighty Cathar fleet dismantled. They saw it done without mass killing. They saw it done in the name of a law. A small, forgotten world had faced an empire, and the empire had blinked. A galaxy that was built on power was suddenly in awe. Our system was no longer a prison. It was a fortress, and its gates were open to those in need. The Lumina fleet was escorted to a new home, a world we had prepared for them in our own system. They were the first to find safety under our mandate. They would not be the last. The whispers about humanity changed overnight. We were no longer the pests. We were the protectors. The requests began to trickle in. At first, it was small things. A trade dispute here, a request for mediation there. We handled each one with care. We gathered evidence. We issued rulings. And our small fleet of Wardens enforced them. Our reputation grew. We were seen as fair, as impartial. A strange new concept in a galaxy of predators. Then a new cry for help arrived. It was different. It was a message smuggled out of a closed system. It came from a world of slaves, a species known as the Glyptons. They had been bred for generations to serve. Their masters were the Vulcani Consortium, a powerful corporate state. The Vulcani were known for their wealth and their ruthlessness. They were thought to be unbeatable. The Glyptons did not ask for a battle. They did not ask for rescue. They did not even know what freedom was. Their message was simpler. They sent us their songs, their history, their pain. They asked only one question: is this all we are meant to be? The question echoed in the halls of our new government. It challenged the very core of our mandate. We did not rush to judgment. Our law demanded proof. The Volcani Consortium was a closed society. They did not broadcast their dirty secrets, so we sent our ghosts. Tiny, silent probes that could slip through any detection net. They were our eyes and ears. They traveled to the volcanic worlds of the consortium. They watched, and they recorded. The evidence they sent back was clear. It was horrifying. The Glyptons were treated as living tools. They worked in unbearable heat. They lived in squalor. They were discarded when they could no longer work. The Volcani did not see them as people. They saw them as property, a resource to be exploited. We gathered months of this data. We compiled it. We edited it into a single, undeniable presentation. There was no opinion. There was no commentary. Just the cold, hard truth. The sounds of their suffering, the images of their despair. We prepared to show this truth to everyone. The galaxy would be our jury. The Volcani would be the accused. We broadcast our ruling on all channels. We showed the galaxy the evidence we had gathered. We let them see the truth of the Volcani Consortium. We did not need to add our own outrage. The images spoke for themselves. The silence that followed our broadcast was deafening. Even the most cynical powers were shocked. Then came our verdict, based on the clear evidence. Under the second article of the Mandate of Sol, the practice of sentient enslavement is an abomination. The Volcani Consortium is found guilty. We did not demand territory. We did not demand money. Our judgment was simple. We demanded freedom for the oppressed. The Glyptons were to be released immediately. The Volcani Consortium laughed. They were richer than the Cathar. Their fleets were larger. They called our mandate a joke. They called us fools. They threatened to extinguish our star if we interfered. It was the classic response of a bully, a threat of overwhelming force. They thought their power made them immune to justice. They were wrong. This time, we were not alone. Our actions had been watched. The Lumina, now a thriving part of our society, pledged their ships. Other, smaller races, long bullied by the big powers, saw their chance. A delegation from the Star Weavers of Cygnus arrived. A fleet from the independent traders of the Rim followed. They had seen our judgment of the Cathar. They had seen our evidence against the Volcani. They believed in our law. An alliance was born. Not of conquest, but of principle. It was a coalition of the willing. Species from across the galaxy. They came not because we commanded them. They came because they were moved by our actions. They saw a future that was not just about survival, a future where justice was possible. Our small force of wardens was now the heart of a grand fleet. The Volcani Consortium saw our growing alliance. Their laughter died. Their threats became nervous whispers. They had expected to face one upstart world. Instead, they faced a movement. A new idea spreading through the stars, the idea that no one was above the law. Not even the powerful, not even the rich. Their immunity was a thing of the past. We had started as prisoners, judged and condemned by a silent power. We were locked away from the galactic community. We were told we were a threat. In our silence, we listened. We learned. And we chose a different path. We wrote our own laws, and we built the strength to enforce them. We now stand at the center of a great shift. Our fleet, a mix of human engineering and alien design, is a symbol of this new age. We do not seek to rule. We seek to judge, to protect, to offer a voice to the voiceless, the great powers that once ignored us. Now watch our every move. They fear our fairness more than they ever feared our weapons. We were once the ones in the cage. Now, we are the jury for the galaxy, and the court is now in session.